Hi everybody, welcome back to Sound Approach. We love to wax poetic about turntables, and specifically today we're going to talk about the tone arm and how to set that up properly. We want to make sure that everybody has a good idea of the pieces that are involved and the specifications that are required and needed to ensure that your tone arm is balanced properly. We're going to cover things like the counterweight, the Antiskate, let's see what else, cartridge alignment, things like that. We've talked about cartridge and stylus alignment in previous videos, but we've always glossed over the tone arm and setting up the tone arm properly. So that's something that we're going to talk about today. And as always, if you have any questions, please leave them down below or like and subscribe for more content from Sound Approach. Without further ado, I'm going to be replaced magically through editing by DJ, who's going to talk to you about these things. So,
often overlooked is setting the tracking force of your cartridge weight, balancing of the tone arm. And this stuff sounds kind of dry and boring, but it's about the single most important adjustment that you can make to the way your turntable sounds. And it will save you both your needle from deterioration and your records from wear. So this process is very important. I'd like to take you through the thought that deceptively, a simple process, we're going to go step by step so you understand the process and you can do it yourself. Before we begin, I'd like to recommend two very important things. First, most important, be patient. Do not rush this process. In fact, force yourself to slow down and concentrate so you do not have accidents. That has happened many times with people who do not understand the process of setup, and they start taking a screwdriver and unscrewing things on your tone arm. You don't want to do that. Secondly, if you are following these instructions and your turntable manufacturer recommends a method that contradicts my directions, perhaps you should follow the manufacturer's instructions instead. Now, we never follow the manufacturer's instructions because even though they're correct, they're not always right. So there may be some very good design reasons why we and the manufacturer differ. So unless you have a good set of calibration tools, then maybe follow the tools that the manufacturer is giving you in their setup. Most turntable manufacturers demand that you attach the cartridge to the arm. In today's world, manufacturers are doing that themselves. And when they pre-mount the cartridge for you, we have found that most of the pre-done cartridges are set up in the wrong angle for deterioration of wear of the record and the needle. Keep in mind, many manufacturers like Music Hall, Cambridge Audio, and others like to promote a plug and play, almost philosophy to make the turntable setup as easy and as painless as possible. So they will have completed most of the tasks we just talked about above. So why do we set a tracking weight at all? This is to allow the stylus to faithfully track the grooves in an intended manner. The tracking weight itself varies because the arm and the cartridge weights also vary. If the tracking weight on your stylus is too low, it will bounce around in the groove and cause the stylus to jump and damage your record and also damage your needle, which is why too low of a weight is more harmful than too high of a weight. If by chance you read a standard tracking weight instructions from the manufacturer, you will find a recommended range of tracking weight figures from the manufacturer that sort of go from point A to point B. If you stick with the somewhat in between, then you won't be too far off. For example, a manufacturer may say that their recommended range of tracking is 1.6 grams to 2 grams. I would then pick 1.8 grams as the tracking weight. Anti-skating. Look for the anti-skate control. This can either be a rotating wheel featuring a number display or a piece of fishing type wire with a weight dangling off the end of it. And that sits on a bar or some other attachment to the tone arm's back end structure. Your turntable's instructions should guide you as to what position corresponds to what setting. Anti-skate, starting off, should be set at 0. Then you add the same number of anti-skate as your tracking force. That gives you a perfect balance of tracking force and anti-skate. So let's talk about the counterweight. Counterweight moves on the rear of your tone arm forwards and backwards along the length of the arm until the arm lifts off the rest and freely. So if we talk about how to balance the tone arm, your tone arm should not float up nor float down. So you want the tone arm to float absolutely in the middle with 0 gravity to it. And to do that, you turn the counterweight on the back of the tone arm forward and backwards until you have things floating level. At that point in time, the front dial on the counterweight is moved to 0, and then you turn in the full counterweight until you get to your desired tracking force. Most cases, that's going to be 1.5 grams. Caution, caution, caution. You should never attempt to adjust your tone arm in any fashion other than with the counterweight. All the other screw terminals you may find on your tone arm are there to set it in place on the turntable, not for adjustments. The only 2 adjustments you're going to make is weight with your counterweight and anti-skating. All the other screw adjustments you see, please do not ever touch. Keep in mind the criticalness of everything we talked about in terms of anti-skate and gram pressure, because these factors will cause your record to last longer and sound better for years, and will keep your diamond stylus from wearing down too quickly. So pay attention to our instructions. If you have questions, call us. Most of the time, with most turntables, other than maybe a Kuzma turntable, we can help you over the phone to dial in the right numbers for gram pressure and anti-skating, and we're happy to do that rather than you break your turntable and your tone arm.